On today's video, we talk about staying ahead of the curve and why it's a good thing. But remember, even though I failed, I still got some information for you that might be interesting. Remember, entertainment. So Devi Excavations, for those on my channel who've been here a long time, this is like the go-to card a lot of us talk about and joke about on the channel. Devi Excavations, though, truly, guys, doesn't have drawbacks. And even nowadays at 30 bucks, there are people on my channel who were buying this when I was buying it for $5, $6, as low as $2 at some points. Look at the card. Comes into play, you sacrifice an untapped island or berry, Devi Excavations. Add one blue and one other to your mana pool, so it taps for 2. Very nice. Now, you can tap one and the card itself, and look at the top card of your library. So it has an early version of Scry. Nice. You can also put that card on the bottom of your library. I like this. This is a good card, and that's why it's starting to rise. Being ahead of the curve is looking for cards that haven't seen play or seen value yet, because people are paying attention to certain types of cards. The more Wizards produces more cards, more decks, more types, it can break or make older cards in the reserve list very valuable. And for those who collected back then, or even the last year and took some of the recommendations I put out there, and thank you for the emails, guys, it's crazy to see some of the value growth we've seen in some of these cards. I know they're tier 2, as Rudy would call them, but with the amount of money we're making, even at these low values, it's a lot higher than people realize. Now, the next card, Kajoran Outpost, again, a little different than Devi Excavations, isn't it? This card was like 10 bucks. It was already kind of seeing some play when I first recommended buying it. But when you see the Kajoran Outpost comes into play, it says sacrifice a plains or bury Kajoran Outpost. It didn't say an untapped plains. So you can tap that plains. This card comes into play, and Kajoran Outpost does not come into play tapped. No slight differences in the card. And then you tap one white, one other, plus Kajoran Outpost, and you can make a 1/1 creature. Well, that's pretty awesome, isn't it? Not a bad card at all. Compared to versions we have right now from like sets like Throne of Eldraine, some of those lands that make creatures or tap, and they cost a lot more. They cost 4, don't they? Compared to these, which cost 1 and 2. Crazy, guys. Looks where they got their inspiration from, though, right? Now, when you look at cards like Lake of the Dead, this was already a decent card, and I think it was around that $70 mark we really started talking about how it was going to go over 100, and it climbed a lot higher than that, I realize. But it was still an affordable card at the time. And staying ahead of the curve was recognizing what people are going to buy next on the reserve list. And when the next buyout comes, what are those people going to buy? What are they going to be looking for? And you are trying to buy that card before they do at a decent price. And by the way, if you're going to be a person spending $1,000 buying reserve list cards, you don't just hit the market and buy 10 each day, because people will recognize that and raise the price. You really have to jump on it either all at once and do a huge mass buy before the price goes up, or you buy 1 copy a day. 1 a day, nobody notices. Well, maybe me on my channel, but most people won't notice it, okay? Just saying. Now, a card like Thawing Glaciers, again, a useful card, comes into play tapped. But 1, search your library for a basic land card and put it into play tapped. This does not count towards your 1 land per turn limit. Shuffle your library afterwards. At the end of your turn, return Thawing Glaciers to your hand. So you get to keep the glaciers. This is like an evolving wilds that keeps coming back. Awesome. There's a reason why these cards are going to see value. And there's a reason why Rudy chose to show you guys a lot of cards that are coming, particularly from alliances. It's a set that's going to keep having listings sold on it. It's a set that's going to have more growth in it over the next few years. Cards are going to see play. Heart of Yavimaya. Guys, again, Heart of Yavimaya comes into play, sacrifice a forest or bury it. It didn't say come into play an untapped forest, right? And this land doesn't come into play tapped. Nice. Add 1 green to your mana pool. So you can get rid of a forest, but use this right away. Technically, you can have 2 forests that turn. And then it says, give a creature +1/+1. Didn't say give a 1/1 creature like Pendelhaven. No. This just says give a creature +1/+1. It can be used all over the place. It's an amazing little card to use, and it's still very affordable. Something to think about if you're staying ahead of the curve, from a non-financial advice channel. Now, Omen of Fire. This one was in Rudy's too. Guys, I know it's 5, but look what it does. Return all islands to their owner's hands. You'll be a very hated person. Each player sacrifices a white or a white permanent. Come on, for each plains, you're sacrificing a white permanent. They're going to not like you. But it's a very, very powerful card in the right deck. I can see why it's going up in value. All right, so Evie Dagger. I have a little story about this one. A card like this, when it's like $4 or $5, this card is not going to rise as fast as some of the others. But Amy Weber's art is awesome, and this card can save you or be used in a certain way. Like when you're out of cards in your deck, and you can get to a time walk or find a way to get a time walk back, and the time walk's always in the top, and you just keep time walking forever. It can be very mean. But when you look at this card at a couple of dollars, very affordable. It's 50 cents. Come on. That's why I bought the artist proof. It's an amazing card to have for the channel, and it's so Devi. It's amazing. Guys, there's a reason why these cards will go up. Staying out of the curve is finding the value and recognizing it. Don't just blindly follow channels like mine either. Don't just say, oh, he's right. I'm not always right. Not at all. You have to look ahead, look at the sales for yourself, think of cards and a financial well-being for yourself. How much you're willing to spend, how much you're willing to lose. It's not how much you can make in money. It's how much you can lose and not be mad at yourself. I learned that a long time ago. Now, this one's a perfect example of how you can make money, but also trade up in Magic by staying ahead of the curve. Back in December of 2020, City of Shadows was $20. They had about 30-40 copies at 401 Games. I mentioned on my channel, hey, if you're looking for this card, this is where you can go buy it super cheap as it's starting to go up. On that weekend, we all know that they sold out. There was a few cards I told people about, they were all gone. Now, fast forward. If you bought 10 copies at $20 each, that's $200, right? But if you bought those 10 copies at $200 each, and now they're $100 each plus, when you look on eBay, the sold listings are all $100 plus. That's $1,000. You could trade that $200 investment for a Gaia's Cradle right now. But in 10 years from now, could you trade this card when it is worth $500 or $1,000 and trade up for a Lotus? Good question, right? Because those smaller cards have a lot more room to grow. So when they start to rise, that's when you can take advantage of it at the new price levels they get set at as these cards dry up. All the cards that are already higher have limits and ceilings. They still always will go up, but it's a little bit slower than cards who have lots of room to grow. Now, when we're talking about a cool card like Goblin Wizard, when I was recommending this card, he was like a $25, $30 card back in December of 2020, and now he's almost $200 because the Dark is an underappreciated set. And for those who saw ahead of the curve and bought cards in the Dark on the reserve list, you made a lot of money. A lot of money. And it has a lot further to grow as the years go by. People are just starting to appreciate the Dark for its theme, its artwork, and the ability of the cards to really see what's going to happen with this card 10 years from now. Nobody can tell you that. But I'll tell you this. Any card on the reserve list in this section is going to go up. So if you're lucky enough to have a Goblin Wizard, great. Staying ahead of the curve is seeing what's going to happen, the potential. And it's not about how much money you can make, it's how much you can lose. Remember that. Be concerned if you, oh, I spent $50 on a card, that's fine. Great. But you don't spend $1,000 on a whole bunch of cards, and if they don't go up, you like freak out. No. Look into the future. Never risk what you don't have. That is key. Only spend disposable income. That's why my little bites in the universe are very small. Very small and very well timed. The Goblin Wizard is an amazing card. He is going to go up in value over the years because he is a very rare commodity. He is in some ways like Didgeridoo, right? You just tap him and boom, you can go ahead and put a beautiful goblin into play. Not to mention you can give goblins protection from white, which is kind of fun in certain circumstances. So way to go, the Goblin Wizard. For those of you who bought him early when he was really cheap, congratulations, because you're going to make a lot of money on that card. It's going to happen. And the same for all the cards we're talking about today. You're going to make money, congratulations. But if you're one of those people who bought multiple copies and now you can reap the rewards of that, kudos to you. I did it for a couple of cards. I feel pretty good. I can imagine how some of you felt. And when you see people, the bigger channels like Rudy, mentioning these cards and saying, yeah, there's risk to them, but there's also potential upswing now, because he's seeing it too, even in his larger world. You know, I'm a little flea speck. He's like a giant ocean guy. He can see into that future and say, yep, that card's going to go up. And that's why he's probably starting to buy some of these collections, right? He's starting to pick up a few just in case. Now, our last card today I thought was interesting, and that's going to be Didgeridoo. When this card came out, it was practically useless. Like a lot of reserve list cards that don't find a home right away. Useless. Nobody was using it. It was like $1, not even. But as the years go on, and you see they put these massive Minotaurs with huge casting costs and have all kinds of crazy abilities. This card doesn't look so bad anymore. People start picking it up, start buying it up, start grabbing, hoarding, keeping. There's a reason why. And this is what happens to certain reserve list cards. If you see some really cool, funky reserve list cards, and you're saying, hey, maybe if they made a card like this, this card would be really usable. They'd almost be broken. That's why you don't get rid of those cards. That's why when you have reserve list cards, we hold the line and we don't usually sell them. You keep them for years. You hold them as long as you can because you don't know what Wizards are going to print down the road that could break these cards and make them really useful in future games, future matches, future formats for all we know. Something to hold on to, something to think about. Didgeridoo is that prime example. That if you bought them for $1 a piece and had 100 just for fun, imagine where you'd be, right? Or 1,000 of them. They cost nothing back in the day. Guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. This is MTG Moxman. Keep your eye out. Stay ahead of the curve. Research. Find out. Watch lots of YouTube channels to see what's going on out there. And if you checked out my channel today, thanks a lot for checking out. Put a boomstick in the comments section because I'd like to know you were here for the whole end of the video. It's pretty cool. Thanks a lot, guys. Talk to you tomorrow. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Big shout out, of course, to all my amazing patrons who make this channel possible each and every day. Thank you so much to continued support. Patrons make my world go round. Thanks again, everyone. See you on the live streams. You're here. You made it to the end again. Congratulations. I just want to hug you. I know, right? The end of the video, you see all that? Staying ahead of the curve, guys. We've done it on this channel. I know it takes a lot of research, and for those of you who took my advice, congratulations. I know there are a few people out there who made a lot of money or saved a lot of money now buying some of the cards I told you to buy back then. Congratulations to everyone. Thanks a lot for the continued support for the channel, everyone. Seriously, you guys make this happen just by watching it every day. So thanks again. I look forward to seeing you guys on the live stream in probably about 15 minutes from now. See you then. Well, 15 minutes from now yesterday, because this video is coming out Monday, but yesterday in the live stream, this is right before the live stream. Amazing.